The forest was quiet except for the soft rustle of leaves and the distant cry of some unknown creature. Alex moved carefully among the tall, alien trees, his boots crunching on the dry, orange moss that covered the ground. The air was thick with fog, and every sound seemed louder than it should be. He had been exploring this planet for weeks, searching for rare minerals and strange plants. But nothing had prepared him for what he would find that evening. A low, pained growl echoed from somewhere ahead, sharp and urgent. Alex froze, scanning the thick fog, his heart beating faster. The sound came again, this time closer, and it carried a strange sadness with it. He followed the noise slowly, crouching behind a large, twisted tree, trying not to scare whatever was. Then he saw it, a large creature lying on the ground, its body covered in deep scratches and bleeding from a long gash on its side. It was unlike anything Alex had ever seen, taller than human, with sleek, dark fur that seemed to shimmer under the weak light. Its eyes were large, golden, and intelligent, and they looked at Alex with pain and fear. The creature tried to stand but collapsed immediately, whimpering softly. Alex's first instinct was fear. He knew many animals on this planet could be dangerous, but something in the creature's eyes made him pause. He could see it was hurt badly and needed help. He slowly approached, speaking in a calm voice. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The creature flinched at the sound but did not run. Instead, it tilted its head and watched him, its breathing heavy and uneven. He knelt a few feet away, checking the wound, trying to figure out how he could help. He had a small medical kit with him, mostly for minor injuries and scratches, but this was serious. He tore a strip of cloth from his shirt and pressed it gently on the gash, hoping to stop the bleeding. The creature growled softly but did not resist, as if it knew he was trying to help. Hours passed, though it felt like only minutes. Alex worked carefully, cleaning the wound as best as he could and wrapping it tightly. The creature stayed still, its head resting on the ground, its eyes never leaving Alex. Every now and then, it let out a soft moan, and Alex would whisper, "Almost done. Hang in there." He could feel a strange connection forming between them, a silent understanding, as if the creature knew he was its only hope. Night began to fall, and the fog grew thicker. The forest now filled with strange noises and shadows that seemed to move on their own. Alex could hear distant howls and the flapping of huge wings somewhere above. He realized the forest was not completely safe, but leaving the creature alone in this place would be cruel. He gently helped it to its feet, supporting its heavy body as it leaned on him for balance. The creature's muscles were tense, and it occasionally growled at the shadows. Protective yet frightened, Alex decided he needed to bring it to his camp, a small shelter he had built near a river. It was a long walk to the foggy forest, the creature sometimes stumbling, sometimes letting out a low, mournful cry. Alex kept talking to it, telling it to stay calm. The bond between them grew stronger with every step. He could feel the creature trusting him more, though it remained wary of everything else around them. At one point, a sharp noise made them both jump, a branch snapping under the weight of something unseen. The creature turned sharply, growling and baring teeth. Alex froze, heart racing. Whatever it was, it stayed hidden in the darkness, watching. The creature nudged Alex gently, as if to tell him to protect him, and he whispered back, "I'll protect you too." Finally, they reached the camp, a small clearing with a basic shelter and fire. Alex guided the creature inside and offered some water. It drank slowly, lapping carefully from the small container, its golden eyes never leaving him. There was a strange collar partially hidden under its fur, a small piece of metal that glinted in the firelight. Alex had never seen anything like it. He wondered who could have owned such a magnificent and dangerous animal. As he watched it settle down, breathing slowly but still tense, Alex felt a mix of excitement and worry. He knew this was no ordinary creature, and there was a story behind it, something he had yet to discover. He didn't know that the collar marked it as a pet of someone very powerful, someone who would not be happy to see it missing. But for now, he could only sit beside it, offering comfort and safety, watching it drift into an uneasy sleep. And as the night deepened, the forest seemed to hold its breath, the wind whispering to the strange trees. Alex knew this was just the beginning of something much bigger, something that would change his life forever. The morning sun struggled to break through the thick fog of the forest. Alex sat beside the creature, watching it breathe steadily, but still wincing now and then from the wound. He had decided to stay in the camp for at least a day to make sure it was safe and strong enough to move. The creature's fur shined slightly in the dim light. and the faint metallic glint of the collar caught Alex's attention again. He wondered who could have owned such a powerful beast, and why it had been left to suffer alone in the forest. The collar looked expensive, made from material he did not recognize. With strange symbols etched along the metal, Alex reached out carefully and touched it, but the creature stiffened, growling softly. He pulled back, realizing that trust would take time and patience. Alex spent the day gathering herbs and water from a nearby river, trying to make a simple salve for the wound. He had little medical knowledge about alien creatures, but he knew he could at least try to ease the pain. The creature stayed close, limping slightly as it followed him, its golden eyes fixed on him constantly. Sometimes it would nuzzle his hand or press its head against his leg, showing gratitude and trust. As the hours passed, Alex started talking to the creature more, telling it stories about his life, his explorations, and even about Earth. The forest seemed to quiet down, listening, and the creature seemed to understand. It responded with soft growls and low hums, almost like it was speaking back a language Alex could not understand. He felt a strange bond forming, deeper than anything he felt before. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the edge of the clearing. Alex froze, and the creature's ears twitched sharply. Its muscles tightened, ready to attack. From the shadows, a figure appeared, moving slowly, deliberately. Alex could barely make out the shape, but he knew it was human. The figure stepped closer, revealing a tall woman in a flowing dark robe, her face hidden under a hood. The sunlight caught the edges of the metal on her belt, and Alex felt a chill. "You shouldn't be here," the woman said in a calm but commanding voice. The creature growled louder, stepping in front of Alex as if shielding him. "Stay back," Alex said, holding his hands up, unsure if he should run or stand his ground. The woman tilted her head, observing the creature, and then looked directly at Alex. "You found something that does not belong to you," she said, her voice cold but curious. Alex glanced at the creature, which growled softly, trying to warn him. "I didn't know," Alex said, his voice steady despite the fear creeping into his chest. "I saw it hurt, and I couldn't leave it alone." The woman stepped closer, her eyes scanning the wound, then the collar. Her face remained hidden in shadow, but Alex could feel the power radiating from her. "You saved it," she said finally, almost in surprise. Few humans would have the courage to do that. The creature's body relaxed slightly, sensing her tone had softened, but it stayed close to Alex, protective and loyal. "But you must know," she continued, "this creature is not ordinary, and it belongs to me, the Baroness." The title made Alex's heart race. He had heard stories of the Baroness, a powerful figure who controlled the surrounding lands with influence and fear. The creature shifted uneasily, and Alex felt a surge of worry. He knew that whoever owned this animal had the power to punish him, but he also knew he could not abandon it now. "I only wanted to help," Alex said firmly, his eyes meeting hers. The Baroness studied him silently, then nodded slightly. "You may have saved its life, but be warned," she said. "Keeping it close may bring danger to you as well." For the rest of the day, Alex and the Baroness watched the creature together, her presence making the animal restless at times. She never touched it, but her gaze was enough to make it tense. Alex tried to understand more about her, but she revealed little, only observing, sometimes asking questions about how he had treated the wound or fed it. The creature seemed to understand her words, responding with small growls or hums, almost like it recognized its true master. As night approached, the Baroness turned and disappeared into the forest as silently as she had arrived, leaving Alex and the creature alone once again. Alex looked down at it, noticing how close it pressed against him now. As it protected him even more, he realized that their bond had grown stronger in just one day, but he also knew that danger was not far behind. He decided to set a stronger camp for the night, building small barriers and keeping a fire burning to ward off any predators. The creature moved around cautiously, sniffing the air and growling softly at distant noises. Alex marveled at his intelligence, realizing that it could sense things he could not. He felt a mixture of pride and fear, knowing he had responsibility over being far stronger and smarter than himself. Before falling asleep, Alex whispered to the creature, "We will be safe, I promise." The creature rested its head on his lap, closing its eyes, but its muscles remained tense, ready for any threat. Outside the clearing, the forest was alive with sound of movement and strange calls, and Alex understood that their journey had only begun. The Baroness would come again, and when she did, Alex knew they would face challenges neither of them had imagined. and as the night deepened, the glowing stars above the alien trees seemed to shine with a silent warning, the creature stirring occasionally, as if it too knew that tomorrow would bring more than just survival. The next morning, a pale light filtered through the fog, casting long shadows over the alien forest. Alex had barely slept. Keeping one eye open for any sign of danger, the creature, which had started calling Rin, stayed close to him, its head resting lightly on his shoulder. Its golden eyes seemed to watch everything, sensing movements that Alex could not. As he stirred, Alex noticed that Rin's breathing was steady, but its body still carried tension, like a spring ready to snap. Alex decided to explore the nearby settlement, a small cluster of human dwellings built on the edge of the forest. He needed supplies and information, and perhaps clues about who might own such a strange creature. As he walked, Rin limped beside him, occasionally glancing at him with what seemed like concern. The villagers eyed them warily, whispering to each other as they passed. Alex could feel their unease, as if they had heard stories he did not know. At the market square, he overheard murmurs that made his blood run cold. "Did you hear? The Baroness beast is missing," one man said, glancing around nervously. "It's the one with golden eyes and a strange collar. Some say she will hunt anyone who dares touch it." Another woman shook her head, adding, "It is not a pet, it is a weapon, and her wrath is terrible." Alex's heart pounded. He realized that Rin's life was not the only thing at risk. His own safety was now in jeopardy. He approached a young trader, hoping for more details. "I need to know about the Baroness creature," Alex asked cautiously. "It is powerful, intelligent, and loyal only to her," the trader said, lowering his voice. "No human has ever tamed it. Anyone who tries disappears, or worse. The Baroness does not forgive mistakes." The fear in the trader's eyes confirmed Alex's growing suspicion. Rin shifted uneasily at the mention of its true master, growling softly. Alex felt a mixture of fear and curiosity. He had saved Rin out of compassion, but now he understood that he had stumbled into something far bigger than himself, something dangerous and powerful. As he left the market, he noticed that strange symbols were carved on the trees leading back to the forest. They glowed faintly in the dim light, as if warning intruders. Rin's body tensed, its ears flicking back, and Alex realized the forest itself might be watching them. Back at the camp, Alex tried to rest, but sleep would not come. The memories of the Baroness' presence the day before haunted him, and every shadow in the forest seemed to shift unnaturally. Rin paced the perimeter of the clearing, growling at every sound. Its loyalty was clear, but so was its fear. Alex could feel the tension in the air, as if something was approaching, unseen and unstoppable. Late in the afternoon, a distant roar echoed to the forest, low and terrifying. Rin froze instantly, its hackles raised. Alex barely had time to react as a large shadow moved through the mist. A pack of alien beasts, unlike anything he had seen, emerged, their eyes glowing faintly. They prowled the forest, circling the camp as if hunting. Rin growled, stepping between Alex and the newcomers, its body pulsing with energy, ready to attack. Alex's mind raced, trying to figure out how to defend themselves. He had no weapons capable of fighting such creatures, and even if he did, the creature's numbers were overwhelming. Rin's loyalty shone in that moment, as it lunged forward, teeth bared, forcing the intruders back into the fog. Its growls echoed through the clearing, a warning and a threat. Alex watched in awe, realizing that this was only a hint of Rin's true power. After what felt like hours, the creatures retreated, slipping back into the fog and shadows. Rin returned to Alex, panting but unharmed. Its golden eyes met his, almost as if saying, "You see now? I am not ordinary. You are lucky I trust you." Alex nodded, understanding the weight of what it had taken on. He was responsible for this creature, and perhaps even for controlling the chaos it could bring. As night fell, Alex saw strange lights flickering in the distance, distant and moving quickly among the trees. He had no idea if they were the Baroness scouts or more dangerous creatures. The wind carried whispers that sounded like voices, soft and warning. Making the hairs on his neck stand up, Rin stood alert beside him, growling at nothing visible, ready to protect him from threats he could not see. Alex knew he had to learn more about Rin, about the Baroness, and about the strange powers both of them seemed to carry. He realized that survival would not only depend on strength, but also on cunning and understanding. The creatures of the forest, The villagers' warnings and the Baroness' mysterious presence all hinted at challenges far beyond what he had imagined. As he sat beside Rin, the creature's body pressing against his own for warmth, Alex could feel the weight of the unknown pressing down on him. The forest was alive with secrets, and it already uncovered only a fraction. Tomorrow would bring more dangers, more mysteries, and perhaps the first real encounter with the Baroness herself. And as the night deepened, the fog thickened, hiding unseen eyes and whispering dangers, Alex knew one thing for certain. He and Rin were bound together now, and whatever came next, they would face it as one. The forest seemed different the next morning, thicker, darker, and alive with sounds Alex had never heard before. Even the wind sounded heavy. Carrying whispers that made his skin prickle, Rin moved beside him, alert and tense, its golden eyes scanning every shadow. Every now and then, it would growl softly at something invisible, as if sensing danger that Alex could not. Alex tried to calm himself, though his heart raced. He had always believed the stories about alien forests were exaggerated, but now he understood the truth. The forest itself seemed aware of him, of Rin, and of their presence. Every leaf, every branch, seemed to watch, waiting. The ground beneath their feet shifted in strange ways, almost like it was alive, and Alex had to step carefully, avoiding sudden dips and hidden roots. As they moved deeper, Rin suddenly stopped, ears forward, muscles taut, and a low growl rumbled from its chest. Alex followed its gaze and saw a strange shimmer in the air ahead, like a wall of faint, moving light, pulsating softly. He could feel the energy in it, humming against the skin. Rin stepped forward cautiously, its fur bristling. The shimmer seemed to react to its presence, bending slightly, almost welcoming it. Alex reached out, curious, but before he could touch it, Rin leapt forward, and the shimmer rippled violently, sending a small wave of force that knocked Alex back. He felt the ground, heart pounding, staring in disbelief as Rin stood at the center of the glowing wall, unharmed, its eyes shining brighter than ever. Something was happening, something beyond his understanding. The creature was not ordinary. It was extraordinary. As Alex struggled to his feet, Rin turned toward him and nudged his hand, almost like asking him to watch closely. Then, with a low growl, it moved again toward the shimmer, and the air seemed to bend with its motion. Branches twisted unnaturally. Stones floated slightly off the ground for a moment, and a strange vibration ran through Alex's body. He realized that Rin could control some kind of energy, perhaps the forest itself. A sudden noise snapped Alex out of his awe. A group of small, shadowy creatures emerged from the fog, fast and aggressive. Their eyes glowed faint red, and their claws dug into the ground as they rushed toward him and Rin. Alex froze in fear. He had no weapon strong enough to fight them, but Rin did not hesitate. It roared, a sound deep and commanding, and the shadow creature stopped abruptly, shivering as though something invisible pushed against him. Rin stepped forward, muscles coiled, and the air around it seemed to thicken, pulsating with energy. The shadow creatures hissed and recoiled, then slowly retreated into the fog. Unable to get closer, Alex watched in awe and fear, realizing that Rin was far stronger than he had imagined. It was not just a beast. It was a guardian, a force of nature, and he had never encountered anything like it. After the creatures disappeared, Alex touched Rin's fur, trembling. "You're incredible," he whispered. But the creature did not respond the way a normal animal would. Instead, it looked at him with golden eyes full of intelligence, almost as if saying, "This is only the beginning." Alex understood that their journey was about to get even more dangerous, and he would have to trust Rin completely. Hours later, while resting by a small stream, Alex noticed something strange about the collar on Rin's neck. Faint symbols glowed softly in the dim light, pulsing in rhythm with Rin's breathing. He reached out to touch it, and the symbols flared brighter for a moment, sending a wave of warmth through his hand. Rin growled softly but did not move, and Alex realized the collar might be connected to its powers, or even to the Baroness. The forest grew darker as evening approached, shadows lengthening unnaturally. Every rustle of leaves or snapping of twigs made Alex's pulse race. He felt watched, and not just by the forest, but by something intelligent, calculating, and dangerous. Rin paced clearing, low growls vibrating from its chest, its body radiating a strange energy that seemed to push the darkness back. Suddenly, distant lights flickered between the trees, moving swiftly, almost like searchlights. Alex's mind raced. Were these the Baroness scouts, or something far more dangerous? Rin stiffened, his fur rising, and let out a warning growl that echoed through the trees. The forest seemed to hold its breath as the lights moved closer, and Alex realized that whatever came next, it would be a test of both his courage and Rin's powers. Alex knew he had to prepare, but he also knew that preparation alone would not be enough. The forest was alive, Rin was extraordinary, and the Baroness was somewhere watching, waiting, plotting. He felt a mixture of fear and awe, understanding that the creature he had saved was no ordinary pet. It was a weapon, a guardian, and a companion, all rolled into one. As the night deepened, the shimmer of the collar pulsed gently, and Rin lay down beside Alex, body tense but calm, its eyes never leaving the moving lights in the distance. Alex reached out and touched its head, whispering, "We face this together." The creature nudged him gently, almost in agreement, and a sense of determination settled over him. They were ready, whatever the forest, the creatures, or the Baroness would throw at them. And as the fog thickened, hiding unseen dangers and glowing symbols, Alex understood one terrifying truth. Rin's powers were just beginning to reveal themselves, and the forces surrounding them were far more dangerous than anything he had imagined. This was no longer just a rescue. This was a start of battle for survival, trust, and perhaps something much larger. The forest was unnaturally silent as night fell, the fog curling around the trees like ghostly fingers. Alex could feel every heartbeat in his chest, the shadows seeming to move with life of their own. Rin stood in front of him, muscles tense, ears forward, golden eyes scanning the misty darkness. The creature's low growl was deep and warning, vibrating through the cold night air. A soft crunch of leaves echoed in the distance, and Alex froze, staring into fog. He could sense it before he saw it, a presence so powerful it made the hairs on his arms stand on end. The temperature seemed to drop suddenly, the air thickening, and Rin's growls became sharper, almost like a drumbeat warning of an approaching storm. From the shadows, a figure emerged slowly, deliberately, almost floating above the ground. Alex squinted the fog and caught sight of her, the Baroness, tall and commanding, her dark cloak flowing around her like liquid night, eyes glowing faintly beneath her hood, golden and cold like molten metal. She moved silently, and yet every step seemed to echo in Alex's mind. Rin growled louder, stepping protectively in front of Alex, its body coiling with strength, ready to strike. Alex swallowed hard, trying to steady himself. He could feel the weight of her gaze, as if it had pierced his very thoughts. The Baroness stopped a few meters away, her hands clasped calmly, almost lazily, but the power radiating from her was undeniable. The forest itself seemed to bow to her presence, the shadows bending and twisting at her will. "You found something that belongs to me," she said, her voice smooth, low, and cold, cut into the fog like a knife, "and you've dared to touch it." Rin's growl deepened, and Alex stepped forward, his hands raised. "I didn't know," he said, voice steady despite the fear. "I only wanted to help it. It was injured and alone." The Baroness tilted her head, studying him like a predator observing prey, and for a moment Alex feared she might attack. Instead, she smiled faintly, a slow, almost cruel curl of her lips. "Few humans would have the courage to do what you did," she said. "Most would have fled or killed it. But courage alone is not enough. You must understand that this creature is not ordinary. It is my companion, my guardian, a force that few can control." Rin bristled at her words, pressing its body closer to Alex as if to say, "I am not leaving your side." The Baroness lifted one hand, and the collar on Rin's neck began to glow faintly. Pulsing with the same strange energy Alex had noticed before, the creature stiffened, its growls vibrating with tension, and Alex realized the collar was a link to her, perhaps controlling its powers. He instinctively reached out, but Rin growled again, warning him to stay back. The Baroness' eyes flickered with amusement. "Do not interfere," she said softly, yet the words carried the weight of command. Then she moved closer, silently, her cloak flowing like shadows. Alex could see the intricate patterns on her armor beneath, symbols that pulsed faintly in the dim light, ancient and powerful. The forest seemed to bend and twist with her motion, and even the fog seemed to part around her. Rin stepped forward, growling, every muscle in its body coiled, ready to defend him. "You will return it to me," she said finally, voice calm but deadly, "or there will be consequences you cannot imagine." Alex felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He realized that the Baroness was not only powerful, she was dangerous, smarter than any human he had met, and capable of controlling forces he could barely comprehend. I cannot give it back, he said, voice firm, though his hands trembled slightly. I promise its safety. The Baroness paused, tilting her head, as if considering his words. You are brave or foolish, she said, a trace of curiosity in her tone. Perhaps both, but know this, human, she continued. Every choice you make now will have consequences, not just for you, but for all those around you. The forest seemed to darken at her words, and Alex could feel the energy of the unseen creatures, the shadows moving subtly, ready to obey her command. Rin growled sharply, its golden eyes fixed on her, the collar on its neck glowing faintly in response to her presence. Alex could feel the tension between them, a silent war of wills, and he knew that the creature was trying to resist her control. You are stronger than most, she said finally, voice softening slightly. Perhaps you and it are more interesting than I thought. Then, almost without warning, she stepped back, merging into the fog, disappearing as silently as she had come, leaving only a faint shimmer in the mist and the lingering echo of her presence. Alex sank to his knees, breathing heavily. Rin pressed against him, body trembling slightly but loyal, protective, and alive with energy. He realized that the Baroness had tested him, and perhaps this was only the beginning. The forest around them seemed to relax, but the shadows still moved, and the night carried whispers that made his skin crawl. He knew that she would return, and next time, the test might not end so quietly. As the fire flickered, casting long shadows on the alien trees, Alex looked down at Rin, and for the first time, truly understood the bond they shared. It was not just trust. It was survival, loyalty, and an unspoken promise. They were linked now, and whatever came next, they would face it together, and yet a part of Alex could not shake the feeling that the Baroness was already planning her next move, a move that could change everything. And as the night deepened, the fog thickened and the strange symbols on the trees pulsed faintly, Alex realized one undeniable truth. He had saved Rin, but in doing so, he had stepped into a world of power, danger, and mysteries far beyond anything he had imagined. The real challenge was only beginning. The forest was alive with whispers and shadows at night, each sound sharper than a blade. Alex sat beside Rin, feeling the tension in his body ripple through him. He had barely slept after the Baroness' visit. The weight of her warning pressed on his mind, and he knew that the next encounter would be far more dangerous. Every rustle in the fog made him flinch, and every flicker of light between the trees made his heart race. Rin shifted closer to him, low growls vibrating from deep within its chest, golden eyes scanning the darkness. Alex reached out and touched its head, whispering, "We'll face it together." The creature nudged his hand, almost like it understood his fear, and yet the determination in its gaze told him that it would never leave his side. Suddenly, the forest trembled, the ground vibrating slightly, and Alex could see faint lights piercing the fog. Moving quickly between the trees, the Baroness had returned, but she was not alone. Shadows of armored figures emerged from the mist, moving like extensions of her will. Alex's stomach churned. He knew these were not ordinary humans, but elite enforcers trained to hunt and control. "You've made your choice," a voice echoed from the fog, soft and mocking. The Baroness stepped forward, her cloak flowing like darkness itself. "Return my creature, and perhaps you live, refuse, and you face consequences you cannot imagine." Alex looked at Rin, who growled sharply, pressing its body closer to him. It seemed to understand the danger, and yet it did not waver. Its loyalty was clear, and Alex realized that he could not betray it. He took a deep breath, standing slowly. "I promise its safety," he said, voice firm, though trembling slightly. "I won't give it back to you." The Baroness' eyes narrowed, a faint smile curling her lips. "Brave or foolish," she whispered. "Perhaps both." The enforcers advanced, moving silently, almost gliding across the forest floor. Rin stepped forward, muscles coiled, energy pulsing from its body. The forest seemed to bend and shift around them, responding to Rin's power. The first attack came without warning, a dark figure lunging from the fog, fast and silent. Alex barely dodged as Rin leapt, swiping its massive claws with precision. The force sent the figure crashing into a tree, the others hesitating for a moment, unsure how to face the creature. Alex grabbed a fallen branch as a weapon. Though he knew it was weak compared to the armored enforcers, he had to trust Rin completely, or they would both die. Rin's eyes glowed brighter, and energy pulsed around his body. pushing back the fog and shadows. Alex could feel a strange warmth in the air, almost like the forest itself was aiding them. He realized that Rin was not just fighting, it was controlling the environment, bending it to their advantage. The enforcers recoiled as branches twisted violently to block their path. Stones leaped up from the ground, and the shadows seemed to shiver with fear. The Baroness moved closer, her presence commanding, almost palpable. "You think you can defy me," she said, voice low but sharp. "You are but human, and you cannot comprehend the power you face." Alex swallowed hard, his hands shaking, but he did not step back. He had chosen Rin, and there was no turning back. The creature growled, stepping protectively in front of him, its body glowing faintly with energy, ready to strike at any threat. The battle unfolded like a storm, the enforcers attacking in waves, Rin countering with speed, strength, and intelligence that seemed almost supernatural. Alex ducked and ran, dodging strikes that could have ended him instantly. Yet he found himself in awe of the creature's loyalty and power. Every time a shadow moved toward him, Rin blocked it, hissing and growling, the ground trembling beneath their feet. The forest itself seemed to rise in defense, twisting and shifting as if alive. Then the Baroness raised her hands, and a pulse of energy radiated from her, throwing Alex off balance. He fell to the ground, his vision blurred, and the enforcers closed in. Rin leapt at him, placing itself between Alex and danger, golden eyes flashing, claws and energy radiating. The air shimmered, and a low roar echoed through the trees, powerful and commanding. Even the fog seemed to retreat from its presence. Alex realized then that their bond was not just trust, but shared strength. Rin was fighting not only to survive, but to protect him, and he had to fight with it. He scrambled to his feet, brandishing the branch, and together they faced the Baroness enforcers, moving in tandem, instincts and loyalty guiding them. The forest roared with energy, responding to Rin, and even the shadows seemed to hesitate, sensing the bond between human and beast. Finally, the Baroness stepped back, observing, calculating, her eyes cold but intrigued. "You have chosen wisely for now," she said, her voice echoing through the forest. "But this is far from over." She vanished into the fog once again, leaving only the faint glow of the collar and the distant whispers of the forest. Alex sank to his knees, exhausted, heart pounding. Rin nudged him gently, resting its head on his lap, golden eyes calm but alert. Alex understood the weight of his choice. The decision to protect Rin had put them both in mortal danger, yet it had also revealed the creature's incredible powers, the loyalty it had for him, and the truth that survival depended on courage, trust, and the bond they now shared. He looked at the glowing symbols on the collar, realizing that the Baroness would not give up easily, but also that Rin's powers and their connection might be the key to facing whatever came next. And as the night deepened, the forest seemed to whisper around them, shadows moving like living creatures, the fog thickening with unseen eyes watching. Alex held Rin close, knowing that tomorrow would bring challenges even greater than tonight, and that the choice he had made, loyalty over fear, had set the path for a battle far beyond anything he had imagined. The forest was eerily silent the next morning. As if holding its breath, Alex sat beside Rin, both of them tense and alert. The events of the previous night had left him exhausted, but he knew there was no time to relax. The Baroness had retreated into the fog, but her presence lingered like a shadow, a promise of danger yet to come. Rin padded quietly beside him, ears twitching, golden eyes scanning every movement in the trees. Alex had learned to read the subtle signs of its awareness, every flick of its tail, every low growl, warning him of unseen threats. Suddenly, the ground trembled slightly beneath their feet, and a faint, glowing mist started to swirl through the trees. The Baroness had returned, and this time she was not alone.